What is up, everybody? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers. And today is finally the day. It is time for our top 10 games of all time. We've been going down and counting down my list of my top 100 games. And these are the cream of the crop, the piece de resistance, right? Like, this is the creme de la creme. I couldn't think of any more sayings to say after that, but every single one of these games will not leave you disappointed. That is a guarantee, your money back. But none of y'all are paying me, so it doesn't matter. Well, actually, except for members. This does not apply to members. Members, you guys are stuck. So anyways, thank you guys. Oh, speaking of members, if you guys want to become a member, remember it's only about $3 a month at the lowest. And all of that gets you some really, really cool content from some behind-the-scenes stuff and also some exclusive videos. But with everything being said, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, comment, put your top 10. And if you don't have 10, then just put your top 5, okay, if it's too long. Anyways, let's get into this thing. So my number 10 shot up the list like crazy, like wildfire. And I've played this game so many times. I love it playing solo. I love playing with people, but not more than 4, because after that, it gets kind of crazy. So this game is called Distilled. So if you've never seen Distilled, this is a brand new game that just came out recently, actually. And it is so cool, man. A lot of people like to just say, oh, is it like viticulture because you're making drinks? But that is not the best comparison for this game. Distilled is it's an interesting game. It's almost kind of like a deck builder where you go to a market, you grab ingredients to put into these drinks, and then you mix those cards together and then take the top and bottom cards out, and whatever cards are left over match up with a list of drinks that you have curated, and that's basically how the game works. You get points for every drink that you create. There's no way to not create a drink on your turn, so this game is just really, really good. I really have been enjoying Distilled, and again, like I said, I love playing it at every player count, except for 5 and 4 can be a little bit long, because it's like 30 minutes a person, and that is accurate, but I think at 1 to 3, it's perfect. I love this game. It's been growing on me. I could see it going down the list eventually, because I feel like eventually I will know everything about the game, and it reminds me, it kind of feels a little bit like, it doesn't play like Everdell, but it just, the feeling that I get when I play it is like, this is Everdell. It's really, really good. I really enjoy this game, but then over time, it's just kind of like, I could see it going down the list. So it's here for now, but number 10 is Distilled. My number 9 is a game that shouldn't shock or surprise anybody, because many people on my channel talk about this game, and that is the Artisans of Splendent Vale. I'm not exactly sure where to put this thing. This is way too close. Here we go. Well, anyway, I'll just go this way. Artisans of Splendent Vale. There we go. So Artisans of Splendent Vale is an awesome game that is a little bit Gloomhaven adjacent, but it's not necessarily Gloomhaven. If anything, it's a little easier than Gloomhaven. And it's made by the same person, Nikki Valens, who created Mansions of Madness. This game was actually very, very surprising on how good it was. There's so many cool things to it. If you really do like Gloomhaven, if you like dungeon crawlers, this is a dungeon crawler. It does not look like a dungeon crawler, but it is one of the best dungeon crawlers I've played. It is surprisingly good, because you take one look at this artwork on the front and you go, I don't know if I want to play something like that. It looks, a little too colorful, too vibrant, too bright. It's beautiful. And the book system that they have, where it's kind of like those old Goosebumps books, if you ever read those books, where it's like, oh, do you want to go down the hallway, or do you want to open up the door? And then you choose the door, and then it says you died, and then you have to go back, and it's like, oh, I don't want that to happen. Let me go to the other page. Now, it's not like that, where you just turn a page and you die. Trust me, that doesn't happen. But you get to choose your own paths and your own adventures, and the cool part about that is just seeing the interactions that it causes at the table as you guys are reading this out loud. It isn't narrated. Highly recommend playing it at 4, because you get all of the perspectives of everybody playing the game. It's a one and done game too. It's not like you get to play it like multiple millions of times. You could reset it and play it again, but I recommend playing it at 4. It is a great experience, and I thought this was worth every single penny I paid. So anyways, that is my number 9. My number 8 is a game called Caverna. Everybody should know Caverna by now. If you've never seen Caverna, Caverna is an Uwe Rosenberg game that is very, very good. I like it better than Agricola, as you know, because if you've been watching this top 100, you would have known that Agricola came a little later. I like Agricola because it has the cards, but I really do like the I do like the locations better, and then how you can create the mine and create that whole room in your mine and stuff like that, and just mine through the whole entire mountain. I thought that was really cool in addition to the other stuff. So I really like Caverna more than I like Agricola, but that's just tit for tat. If you like Agricola better, then it's cool. I could see that totally. I think they're pretty much interchangeable because they are pretty different. They have like the same base, but very different concepts. One is more card play. The other one's more laying out the little tiles and stuff like that, which is really fun. But this is a great game. You're just basically farmers who are carving out a mine inside of a cave, but also, you know, farming your own little land. It's super good, man. I love Caverna. Caverna is fantastic. My number 7... Yeah, my number 7 is Terraforming Mars, because Terraforming Mars is just that game. It's super good. And if you've never played Terraforming Mars, obviously you need to get yourself a copy because this game is great. Terraforming Mars is just basically a game where you're trying to make Mars a habitable planet, and the way that you do that is by getting resources and taking those resources and using them to build out this card tableau. And in that tableau, those cards after you spend energy and different things on your turn will fire off and cause you to gain more resources and different things. It's just really, really fun engine building game. And I love terraforming the planet where you have the map and stuff like that, and you're laying out the tiles, a little bit of area control. It's got a little bit of everything that I like in a game. And honestly, out of all the engine building games, this is definitely my favorite because I'm not a big fan of Earth or Wingspan, which I think are very, very similar to Terraforming Mars, but not the same at all. They're very different games. But I still love Terraforming Mars, and with the Prelude expansion, just makes it really, really good. My next one is Spirit Island, which Spirit Island, this is my number 6. Spirit Island is such a good game, but as you know, it's probably gone down in my list. I think at one point it was my number 1 game of all time. Like, I love Spirit Island. But the problem with Spirit Island, it is so complex and such a difficult teach. It's very hard to get a consistent group who wants to play it all the time. My most consistent group is not into this game. Now, they've played it now, but they don't exactly love it. And so that's what makes me not want to play it as much, or I don't get to play it as much. But with a good group of people to play Spirit Island that know what they're doing, this game is great. And basically, it is Catan in reverse, where you are just... you have this big island, and in that island, you are trying to remove settlers from coming in to settle. So like in Settlers of Catan, where they're coming to take over the island, your spirit's trying to push those settlers out. It's such a good concept for a game. I really enjoyed it, and I honestly think that this is one of those games that you will really appreciate if you like complex games. But if you don't like complexity, not for you. It's asymmetric, so it's hard to teach. But it's such a good game, man. And it can take a little while, and it's very difficult, but it's super, super good. And that is my number 6. My number 5 is Blood Rage. Vikings area control. Like, that's all I need to say. It's so good. You know, like, this is one of those games that was hard for me to find at first. Then I finally found a copy for a cheap price. I think I got it for like $40 or $45 when I picked it up. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy it because it's on sale. And so I picked it up, and I was like, everybody loves it. It was in my shelf of shame for a very long time. I finally got it out. I finally played it. Love it, man. It's Viking area control with drafting, where you've got these cards. I was able to play Inish, where Inish you draft cards, but in this game, there's different cards for different ages. Then Valhalla is happening, and it's destroying like different areas. And if you have like people die in Valhalla, they give you a bunch of glory points for sacrificing them into Valhalla. So it's really, really cool. They've got these fjords throughout the map that are in between certain lands, and it gives you combat power in both areas since it's right in between. And it's such a cool concept for a game. I love the drafting. I love the monsters. I love the minis. Just perfect Ameritrash. I love it. And if you've never played it, and it's in your shelf of shame, just play it, man. Just play it. It's not hard at all. It's not difficult. Once you get the hang of it and you understand it, it's such a simple game. You just draft cards, and then each turn everybody plays a card, and that's it. It's really, really cool. Area control, love it. Blood Rage, my number 5, incredible. My number 4 is my favorite Uwe Rosenberg game, and that's Lahav. If you've never played Lahav, Lahav is a game where you are building up a harbor, and in this harbor has a bunch of different little shops, and there's so many cool mechanisms. It's got worker placement, and it's got this really cool harbor, like this little river that the boat travels down, and every time the boat travels, you gain the resource on your turn of where it ends up at. At the end of each round, you have to feed your people, so that's something to be aware of. That's every Uwe Rosenberg game. Some people hate that. I don't care for it as much, but I enjoy it as a concept in his games, and I respect the fact that he put it in there. I like that. There's also this cool marketplace of like buildings that you can build, but if nobody builds the buildings, then they end up in a row in front of you where you can still purchase them, but now they're available for people to utilize, and you can actually place your workers there. But if you buy the buildings, they give you victory points at the end of the game, and also people have to pay you to use it if it belongs to you, but people can actually worker place. And because there's only one worker and you don't have to move it all the time, you can actually block up spaces, which could add some strategy. It's such a really good game, man. I really enjoy Lahav. There is an app version if you want to try it out and play it. The app version is just fine, but I love Lahav. It's stayed in my top 5 for I don't even know how long at this point, but it's slowly making its way down. I think eventually it'll get out of my top 5, but it's still I will always play that game when I get a chance for it. That's my number 4. My number 3 is a game that I would have never expected, and Pandemonium Institute, sponsor me at this point because I am selling this game. Blood on the Clock Tower, wow. I cannot begin to explain how good of a game this is. If you've ever played Mafia, if you ever played Werewolf, social deduction on the highest tier level. If you want to watch how the game is played, I highly recommend watching No Rolls Barred. They actually do a Kickstarter for their seasons. They actually do like their YouTube channel, and they do seasons of Blood on the Clock Tower where they play with a whole group of people, and it is great, man. And I love Ben is always there as the storyteller, and he does such a really good job putting together these things. He's one of the people who is he actually messaged me on Twitter asking me if he could share my review of the game, and they reached out to me, and I appreciated that so much. Thank you guys for the Pandemonium Institute, all the people who have worked on Blood on the Clock Tower for reaching out. Appreciate you guys. This is, if you guys need a quote, here's the quote. This is the greatest social deduction game that has ever existed, does exist, and will exist. I do not foresee any social deduction game ever taking over what Blood on the Clock Tower brings to the table, especially if they continue to support it and add more expansions and more things. This game is just going to be amazing. Very expensive, though. That is one thing that I will say. It's a very expensive game, and for me, it could be a print and play. I think there are a lot of people who would enjoy this if they did like a print and play version that you can just purchase. I know they have the website where you can print out your own versions of the things. If you can learn the game and do that, they offer a lot of this stuff for free. You can just print out your own versions of it. But this premium experience is so cool with the book. It's hard to resist. But if you can find it at a good price, I highly recommend buying it. But it is about $150. But Blood on the Clock Tower, amazing, amazing game. Love it. And that is why it's my number 3. And then my top 2 are going to be super easy to remember. Number 2 is Dune Imperium, because Dune Imperium is just that game. Dune Imperium is so good. The way you win, you get 10 victory points. Getting 10 victory points, woo! Man, there's a lot of stuff to do. You've got deck building, you've got worker placement, you've got to buy cards that let you worker place in the right areas. And if you draw into those cards, it will help you out a lot. There's cards that provide combat powers, so you win your combats. There's victory points that you can win that build you up and get you up in the map. If you gain alliances with certain factions, that'll get you a victory point. But if somebody overtakes you, then they steal that victory point from you. And man, that your pieces just keep going up and down as they're working their way up to 10. Resources are limited and tight, unless you build a really, really good engine to take those resources back. Man, this game is phenomenal, man. Like, people said it's a great game because it is literally one of the best games I have ever played. I love Dune Imperium so much, and that's why it is my number 2. I'm not even going to talk too much about it because I know people already know that it's a good game, and if you haven't played it, just play it. It's good. My recommendation, 3 and 4, At 1 and 2, you have to like use an app to like make a third player, which I don't enjoy stuff like that at all. It's the reason I didn't like Tidal Blades that much, but that's a different story. And my number 1, Root, because Root is incredible. I love the artwork, leader games. I love all of your games, but this one is my favorite. It's gotten a lot of nominations, a lot of awards, because it's just really good. It's an area control game that takes place in a forest. You take on the role of one of the 4 factions in the base game. There are 4 factions. There are many expansions with other factions, but the whole point is that every faction is asymmetric and plays in a very, very different way. And I love the way you win with each one, and that each one is very difficult. And there are some that are really hard to play, and some factions that maybe don't feel as good as other factions, but that helps out because then it's like, if I'm an advanced player and I know how to play really, really well, maybe I can take on using a faction that's not as good, or that I feel is not as good, and I can try to perfect my craft in being good at the game through that way. But man, the factions, I feel, with all of the additional stuff they've added, have really balanced out to be a perfect game. This is a 10 out of 10 in my book. Lahav was also a 10 out of 10, but this is a 10 out of 10 game. I love this game. And I will never get rid of this game, and I will never stop playing this game because it's phenomenal. Root is one of my favorite, it is my favorite game of all time. This is my number 1, y'all, and I love Root. It takes 60 to 90 minutes. That's not true. It probably take a lot longer than that, especially if you're teaching. I think once you've got 4 Root players who are really, really good, then maybe you can get it in 60 to 90 minutes, but Root is fantastic. That's it, y'all. That's it for my top 10. What did you guys think of my list? What do you think of the games on my list? Let me know in the comments section, but as always, love you guys. Have a good night, or see you guys later. Talk to you guys. Catch you on the flippity flip, whatever it is that I say at the end, because I haven't made a video in like 17 years. So see you guys soon. Love you guys. Peace out.